I could have been your ally instead of your enemy, Marcus said quietly. Yes, I replied, you could have. He nodded, eyes lowered. Rebecca's happier now. I see it when we meet with the lawyers. She's found her voice again, started that children's charity she always dreamed of. The one you once called a waste of time. He flinched. I deserve that, and more. He stood, straightening the plain tie that had replaced his Italian silks. For what it's worth. I'm sorry, not just for the dinner, not just for the loans, for all of it. You were the better man, James, you always were. After he left, I took the long way back to my office. Walking through each floor, I passed the analyst Marcus had once humiliated, now leading our community outreach division. The elderly board member whose ethical banking concerns he'd dismissed was now chair of our compliance committee. And on the 10th floor, Rebecca's charity thrived, not as a favor, but as a force. The laughter of children echoed in halls once ruled by whispered deals and power plays. My sister had reclaimed herself, not as Marcus's wife, but as her own woman. Sometimes we share lunch in my office, reminiscing about bike rides and scraped knees, slowly rebuilding the trust we once had. That evening, just before a board meeting, my assistant entered with a file. Loan application, she said, small bakery downtown. Owner says she met you 10 years ago. I opened it and smiled at the name. She'd once given me free coffee when I was scraping together the future of Griffin Capital, one kind gesture that said, I believe in you, when no one else did. I picked up my pen and wrote. Approved, with compliments from the small dream believer. Because sometimes, the truest form of revenge isn't ruin. It's resilience. It's proving that what they laughed at could become a legacy. Marcus had been right about one thing, business is about power. But he never understood where real power lives. Not in control. Not in conquest. But in what you help others build, and what you choose to stand for when no one's watching. I had helped rebuild from the ground up, not just the bank, but a coalition. Quietly, I'd formed a network of allies, each one loyal, each resource leveraged with precision. Together, we'd orchestrated the ultimate takeover. Anyone suspect? I asked as the elevator glided toward the top floor. Sarah shook her head. Not a soul. The share purchases were split across a dozen shell entities. Every one of them appeared unconnected. Even our sources inside Monarch say Marcus is riding high. He's planning to unveil Monarch's acquisition of Rivera Banking Group. I smiled. Rivera, another company I'd been controlling from the shadows. The boardroom was as grand as ever, all polished mahogany and cold marble, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the skyline. Marcus stood at the head of the table like a man already writing his legacy. James, he sneered, this meeting is for board members only. Actually, Sarah said, sliding a folder onto the table, Mr. Griffin is exactly where he belongs. Marcus tore open the folder, color draining from his face as he read. Ownership transfer documents, I said evenly, as of 8 a.m. Griffin Capital controls 51% of Monarch Bank. The room exploded in whispers. Board members scrambled for copies, flipping pages. Marcus, once red-faced, now looked ghostly pale. This is a setup, he muttered. We'd have known if someone was buying shares. Would you? I activated the boardroom screen, revealing a sprawling map of shell companies and merger trails, all pointing back to Griffin Capital. You were too busy dismissing the little players to notice when they joined forces, under my leadership. This is a con, Marcus stammered. The Williams family ran this bank into the ground. I cut in. Aggressive acquisitions, alienating core clients. You mocked small dreams, Marcus, but those dreams became a movement, and they came to me. Around the table, heads were nodding. The board wasn't just reading numbers anymore, they were seeing a pattern. You can't do this, Marcus whispered. Rebecca, she's your sister. She is, I said, standing, and maybe now she'll remember that. I turned to the screen again. And about Rivera Banking Group? No need to announce that takeover. Marcus looked confused. Why not? Because they already report to me. Just then, the boardroom doors swung open. Rebecca rushed in, mascara streaking down her face. Marcus, why is our account frozen? About that, I said, turning to her. We need to talk about some unusual activity in Marcus's trading history. Very creative accounting. Marcus slumped into his chair, the sharp cut of his Italian suit now resembling armor stripped of its shine. All those years, he croaked, you were playing us. No, Marcus, I said, I was running a business, something you never truly understood. The fallout came fast: audits, investigations, headlines. The house Marcus built was made of cards. Once forensic teams had full access, the truth unraveled: inflated asset reports, unauthorized trades, corporate funds funneled into personal luxuries. I reviewed the latest audit in what had once been Marcus's office when Rebecca burst in. "How could you do this to us?" she snapped, planting her hands on my desk. "Our friends won't even return my calls." I looked up. "Your friends? Or Marcus's?" She faltered. "What's the difference? He gave me status, respect." "Respect?" I stood and walked to the windows. "Let me show you something." I pulled up a recording, footage from the last board meeting. Marcus barking at junior staff, belittling an older colleague, brushing off warnings about predatory lending. Rebecca watched, silent. "This is who he was," I said quietly, "the same way he treated me while you watched. You said nothing at that dinner, just like you're saying nothing now." "I didn't know what else to do," she whispered. "He paid for Mom's treatments." "No," I said. "I did, through a holding company. Marcus just took the credit." She sank into a chair, her designer handbag slipped to the floor. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Would you have believed me?" I asked. Back then, I was just the brother with small dreams. The intercom buzzed. "Mr. Griffin, the FBI agents are here for Mr. Williams." Rebecca's eyes widened. "FBI? James, please, he's still my husband." "And you're still my sister," I said gently. "That's why I made a deal. Immunity in exchange for full cooperation. There'll be fines, penalties, but no jail time. I'm not out to destroy him, just to end the illusion." She stared at me, tears running freely now. "Why would you show him mercy?" I opened a drawer and handed her a framed photo, the two of us as kids, her standing in front of me, arms crossed, daring the playground bullies to come closer. "Because someone once taught me what real strength looks like," I said. "It's not domination, it's restraint." 1 year later, the building bore a new name, Griffin Partners Financial Group. The marble and mahogany remained, but the soul of the place had changed. Executives greeted interns by name, community leaders met monthly with our board, small business owners sat in the same chairs Marcus once mocked them from. I was reviewing a micro-lending proposal when my assistant entered. "Unexpected visitor," she said. "Marcus Williams." He looked different, thinner, more grounded. The department store suit fit like humility, not punishment. "I came to sign the last of the divorce papers," he said, placing a folder on my desk. "Rebecca told me you're moving to Chicago?" "Consulting, tiny firm," he said with a faint, self-deprecating smile. "Ironic, right? All those dreams I used to scoff at. They weren't so small," I replied. He nodded. "You know what I regret most? Not the money, not the title. It's realizing I could have been part of something real. What you've built here, it's bigger than any dynasty." He hesitated at the door. "James, I was wrong. About you. About all of it." I gave a slight nod. "Takes strength to admit that." He left without another word. Outside, the sign gleamed under the morning sun. Griffin Partners. Built not on legacy, but on intention, on something Marcus had never truly understood. Respect isn't given. It's earned. I adjusted my tie and gave my presentation one final look. Everything had to be perfect. Tonight's family dinner at Rebecca's palatial estate wasn't just a social obligation, it was my moment to finally prove myself. For years, I'd worked quietly behind the scenes, growing Griffin Capital with surgical precision. Now I was ready to unveil my boldest venture yet. I just needed one final piece: financing from Monarch Bank, where my brother-in-law, Marcus Williams, happened to be executive vice president. The irony wasn't lost on me. A decade ago, Marcus had rejected my first business loan, dismissing my ideas as juvenile daydreams. Since then, he'd made a hobby of reminding everyone at family events how he'd rescued my sister from our modest roots. "James," Rebecca greeted me with a perfunctory air kiss. My little sister had changed since marrying into money. The loyal girl who once stood up to bullies on my behalf now seemed more concerned with status than sincerity. "You look professional," she said, scanning my off-the-rack suit with thinly veiled disapproval. "Marcus just flew back from Milan. Wait till you see his new Brioni." The dining room was a masterclass in overcompensation: chandeliers, faux antique furniture, and what I suspected were forged Renaissance paintings. Marcus sat at the head of the table like he owned the place, which, technically, he did. "James, the prodigal entrepreneur returns," Marcus called out. raising his glass with smug flair. Laughter echoed from the other guests, bank executives and their designer-clad spouses. Still running that little firm of yours? What was it, Pigeon Capital? Griffin Capital, I corrected evenly, setting up my laptop. And I'm actually here to present something important, a proposal. Oh no, not another one, Marcus groaned. Remember his last pitch, honey? Something about affordable housing? Because that's where the money is. Rebecca gave a brittle laugh. James, maybe tonight's not the best time. It's a $2 billion urban development initiative, I continued, undeterred. Sustainable housing, integrated commercial zones, community infrastructure, all we need is Monarch's financing. Marcus nearly spit out his wine. 2 billion? You look like you borrowed that suit from a thrift store mannequin, and you want to play in the billions? I kept my gaze steady. The projections are solid, if you just look. Enough. Marcus's hand hit the table with a thud. You want to know why you'll always be stuck in the kiddie pool? Because you don't get it. This world isn't built on good intentions or community spirit. It runs on control, power, and you've never had any. He stood, smoothing his tailored lapel. Tomorrow morning, I present to Monarch's board, a real acquisition, a real deal. While you chase pipe dreams, I close real business, big business. Stay in your lane, James. Laughter rippled through the room as he sat back down. Then my phone buzzed. From Sarah Chen, transfer complete. 51% stake in Monarch confirmed. Board meeting at 9 a.m. You're now the majority shareholder. I glanced at Marcus, still basking in his delusion. A slow smile crept across my face. Tomorrow was going to be fun. The next morning, I walked into Monarch Bank's headquarters at 8:45 sharp, wearing the same suit Marcus mocked. The security guard did a double take. He'd gotten used to turning me away from the executive floor. Mr. Griffin, Sarah Chin greeted me by the elevators. The board is assembled, still expecting Marcus to lead the meeting. She smirked. They're in for a surprise. For 10 years, I'd played the long game, while Marcus scoffed at my little firm. I'd quietly built an empire, through shell companies, strategic mergers, and silent partnerships. Every move had led to this. The king didn't realize the board was already in checkmate.